All right, hey guys, it's lunchtime. Let's do some game design. Give me a second here to check my signal. We're going to be working on Bastion campaigns today, using the Dungeons and Dragons 24 Bastion system to build a framework for a progressively generated campaign. And then on top of that campaign, updating crafting and general orders that you can issue to your facilities, including multiple bastions, as well as using the Bastion system for commanding armies. So it's a lot of tech inside a pretty tight package. So give me a hot second here to just do some quick social media updates. I'll go through my origin story here with you quick while I distract you. My name is Phil Kearney. What's up? I create role-playing games, I illustrate them, and I publish them online. And I've been creating content on Dungeons & Dragons, for Dungeons & Dragons on the DMsGuild since 2018. Let's see, today we're focusing on Bastion Orders. There we go. I've got my social media post going here. And so I've been a DM since 1987, back in the Red Box first edition days. So I've got a good taste for and appreciation of Dominion style of play, which despite the Bastion system being introduced in the DMG, it does not introduce actual Dominion style play where your characters actually gain some sort of stake in the larger world or have any kind of geopolitical power. That was one of the big drives of the Dominion style of play back in the BX first edition, second edition style. When WotC took over, it started to melt away in third edition and pretty much disappeared in fourth and hasn't really returned in fifth edition yet. So, but I've been a freelance illustrator since 1999. Like I said, I've been creating content on the DMsGuild since 2018. I've published a slew of 5e supplements. You can check them all out here down in the description down below. These are all books that have free previews. Check them out if you think they're cool and they add to your campaign. Consider jumping on board. Here's my Discord community for use. The playtest document that we're using today for the Bastion campaign is click here. It's going to be a read-only document for you guys, but you can read along, and it functions. It's not necessarily very pretty right now. That's why we hire an editor and why this is only a rough draft. But it's got all the tech that you need in here to run a Bastion campaign, and we're in the process of editing and fleshing out the details and simplifying the process to make it more useful for people to use. So if you think this stuff is cool, like, subscribe, hit the bell icon for notifications, and we're live in the future. And let's go ahead and get started. So I'm going to take this. Let's just drop this down a little bit, get it out of the way. And here is the Bastion campaign document that we're working inside of right now. Here is additional Bastion campaign documentation that we might need to make use of during today's exploration. Yesterday, we had resolved the facilities and the type of properties that each facility has. They provide facility benefits, which provide unique bonuses to the Bastion creatures and characters that are inside the Bastion. Downtime activities, which players can do while they spend a Bastion turn in the Bastion. And then there's orders that can be issued, which is when you have a facility that's installed, you can issue those orders to the hirelings inside the Bastion to do things for the characters while the characters are off doing something else. But one of the downtime activities that characters can use is to oversee an order. So instead of just issuing the order to the hirelings in your Bastion, your character can directly oversee those orders. The way that orders works in this system is that it's an ability check, and depending on the rank of your Bastion and the rank of the facility that is inside of your Bastion is going to determine the modifier. It's a D20 plus the rank of your Bastion from 1 to 5, and then the rank of a facility inside the Bastion is going on a rank of 1 to 5 is going to have a proficiency die from the DMG 2014 variant rules. So like a 3rd rank Bastion with a 2nd rank Workshop that issues a crafting order to the Workshop, it'd be a D20 plus 3 for the rank of the Bastion, plus a D6 for the rank of the Workshop, and you'll get a range of anywhere from 25 to 30. So anywhere from 5 to 30 is your range, with a plus 3 from the Bastion and a plus D6 from the Workshop. But if your character oversees that order and spends the Bastion turn in the Bastion acting as a manager, it would be your character's ability check. And then you would add the Bastion die, kind of like a Bardic Inspiration die, to your ability check, increasing the likelihood of you being able to succeed at the task. So if your character's involved, it's almost always guaranteed to have a better outcome than it would be without your character's involvement. Because your character has proficiency bonus plus an ability score bonus, plus the Bastion die, and on top of the D20. If you fail a D20 test when you're issuing an order, it creates a complication, which is how you generate the progressive campaign method of the Bastion system. So when you issue an order and your hirelings attempt to carry out that order and they fail the die roll, it creates a complication that has to be resolved before they can complete the task. So if you resolve the complication, the task will automatically complete, but you don't know until you roll it what kind of complications arises. And you could either issue another order to your Bastion to fix the problem that they created, or it can become an adventure hook for your characters to then execute that, like to resolve that complication. So not only would your characters like gain experience points from the adventure and fight stuff and pick up magic gear and make new connections and have slapstickery, but you'll, as a result of that adventure, resolves the complication that was preventing the order from being completed. So in the DMG, if you issue an order, it automatically gets completed, but it's also very limited on what it can do. Since we've introduced a risk-reward system into the Bastion system, issuing an order to a Bastion allows you to do a lot more for your character or in the campaign world through your Bastion. But because there's a chance of failure, it's not guaranteed you're going to get what you want. And in fact, it could create a cascade of complications that could take your players multiple adventures to resolve, depending on how the die rolls go. So in that sense, it's kind of like a hex crawl, in that when you move into the next hex, you don't necessarily know what you're going to discover, or what kind of challenges you're going to face, or what kind of rewards you can get from it, and where it could take your campaign. Similarly, with the Bastion campaign, whenever you issue an order, it's like stepping into a new hex. You have to make the die rolls to try to resolve that, carrying out that order. And again, if it goes awry, it creates complications. That's like you encounter things like there could be monster attacks, or there could be a curse in your facility, or the materials that you need don't work, or the plan, the recipe that you have to make something isn't accurate, and it creates a cursed item instead, or a time rift opens up, or demons attack, or all sorts of stuff. We have a table for it in the DM section, and we'll get to that part. So, but for now, we are continuing to resolve the facilities. So we've gone through and we've formatted the facilities, and we've gone through how the basic facility benefits work. Last night we resolved the downtime activities, all the different types of downtime activities characters can take while they're utilizing facilities. Now we're going through looking at basic orders. So we're going to go through that process now. So we got 34 pre-built facilities in this document that incorporates all of the facilities that are in the DMG, plus adding additional facilities that we've created. Hey, Steve, it's good to see you. And so, we're just going to keep going through the process. We resolved facility benefits and downtime activities yesterday. Now we're going to go through and resolve orders. So I'm just going to traipse through here real quick, looking at basic orders. So we have basic orders, we have unique orders, and then we have variant orders. And I don't necessarily know if variant orders are necessary, but a basic order means that the order always works the same regardless of what facility is carrying out that order. Like if I order you to craft something, like the workshop to craft something, or the scriptorum to craft something, or a reliquary to craft something, or a sanctum to craft something, the craft orders work the same no matter who it is. The mechanics are universal. It's just each facility determines what can be crafted. So, and we have the big list of gear at the back of the documents as an appendix that goes through everything in the player's handbook that can be created. The rarity determines its difficulty. Common, uncommon, rare, very rare, and legendary is a scale of 1 to 5, matching the ranks of your facilities. A facility can only create an item of the rarity equal to the rank of that facility. So like a second rank workshop can only create uncommon or common rank items, whether it's empowering magic items or crafting goods. The cost for magic items is, again, common, uncommon, rare, very rare, legendary, 1 to 5. Common items cost up to 100 gold pieces, or half that if it's consumable. So up to 100, up to 400, up to 4,000, up to 40,000, up to 200,000. That's what the DMG states the generic cost for magic items are by rank of rarity. So similarly, if you issue an order to craft non-magical equipment, it uses that same value scale. So any non-magical item that costs up to 100 gold pieces can be created by a rank 1 facility, regardless of what that facility is. It's just like, for instance, if you want to make a club, you could do so in an armory or a workshop. If you want to make a dagger, you can do so in an armory or a smithy. If you want to make a half plate or full plate armor, it's rare, so you have to at least be 3rd rank to build them, and it's either an armory or a smithy that can create them. Getting down into more interesting stuff. Here's one, making a book. It's a common magic item, and you can make one in an arcane study, an archive, a library, or a scriptorum. So if you have any of those facilities and you want to make a book, you can. You issue the order to create a book. It's a common magic item. The DCs to create items, again, on a scale of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, is 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. It's the standard bounded accuracy curve of the 5e game engine that they talk about. And so we actually want to lean into the mechanics of the 5e game, because this is intended for use in your 5e game. So, and then the materials, these are just generic materials. You could be specific if you want to, but like if you want to create acid, like a vial of acid, it's not very expensive to do it, but you're gonna need to have either a laboratory or a greenhouse, depending on if you're making a chemical acid or if you're making a natural acid. That's the kind of narrative that goes on there. And then the materials that you would use is either going to be mineral or plant. There's animal, mineral, and plant materials. And like if you're making leather armor, you'll need animal materials and possibly plant materials for like cotton and stuff for padding as well. Potentially mineral materials for metal. So your DM can decide, these are just generally what types of materials you should expect to need if you want to create a particular item, but the DM can always override that. Like for example, half plate or full plate armor logically would require metal for the plates, leather straps, but it could be hemp rope, like to connect the connective tissue, and then typically like cotton or wool to pad the pieces so that they don't chafe. But the DM could decide that, and normally it would be like an armory or smithy that you would use to make that plate mail, but the DM could decide, and with, after discussion with the players, like I have a druid and a barbarian type character, and we don't want to be into metallurgy. We're monster hunters, so like we want to make plate mail like out of dragon scales, or we're going to make half plate out of like hardened bark from this steel tree, for instance, or whatever. The DM could decide all you need in that case is just plant materials. So if you have access to the steel tree forest and you are harvesting bark from the steel trees, you can use that to create plates of armor, for instance. It's like there's no end to the different combinations. If the DM agrees, yeah, I think it's sensible that you could harvest this material so that you can make this item. That's just the player getting involved in the questing of getting access to materials to make stuff. They're leaning into the crafting system, and this is designed to make the crafting system universal with very duplicatable rules that has a loose enough hold on a loose enough raw that it's easy for you to replace components or to change the values of things. Like you could decide that like making a ballista is a 500 gold piece item, right? And we know the caps are 100 gold, 400 gold, 4,000 gold. Making a ballista would normally be a rare difficulty DC 20 to produce. But you could be like maybe you're in Crete. You know, if we're going to use Greek references, maybe you're in the city of Crete, known for their architecture and engineering capabilities. So like while you're in the settlement or the community of Crete, complex machines are less difficult to create. So instead of requiring a DC 20, it becomes a uncommon item instead, and only requires a DC 15 for you to be able to create a ballista, for instance. So there's a lot of different ways that the DM can decide to make changes. This list here is just a generic default that if you don't know something better, this is going to work for literally every item that's in the game. So we've got that built out for you. So now we just need to add on to it, right? So we're looking at orders. We're going to go through each of these facilities and look at how the orders are structured. Basic orders, issue a basic craft order to any facility. Oops. Basic orders, issue a basic craft order to any facility to create non-magical items up to the listed value. That sounds like weird language. Hold on. You can issue a basic craft order to create non-magical items up to the value listed for the rank of this facility. What's going on with archives? Hold on. Let's go to the arcane study. Issue a basic craft order to any facility to create non-magical items up to the value listed for the rank of this. Okay, issue a basic. Okay, this is worded wrong. Issue a craft order. Issue basic orders. Issue a craft order. To create non-magical items, see the magic item list down below, up to the value listed for the rank of this facility. Like we were just talking about, the value is determined by rare, very rare, etc. And so that's tied to the rank of the facility, 1 to 5 rarities. And the list of stuff like the arcane study. Like, for instance, an arcane study can be used to make our arcane focus. That sounds pretty sensible, right? It's logical. There you go. Basic orders, craft. Issue a craft order to create non-magical items. Empower. Issue a basic empower order to create arcane magic items in the arcane study. Issue a basic empower order to create arcane magic items, including items that are listed as arcana, rings, rods, scrolls, staff, wands, and wondrous items, up to the rarity listed for the rank of this facility. Okay, that's straightforward. Basic order, empower. You can issue an empower order. I think we're going to get rid of the word basic. I suspect we're not going to need it. You can issue an empower order to create magical items. In this instance, in the archive, it can be any kind of scroll, whether it's divine, druidic, or arcane, up to, again, the rarity listed for the rank of the facility. And the values and ranks and rarity and spell levels are part of the description for what a basic order is. So let's kick on down to basic orders. And hey, Fernando, it's good to see you, my guy. So let's get past all the facilities, and then we see facility benefits, which we talked about last night, downtime activities, which we talked about last night, and once we get past those, then we get into the orders. Flavor text, blah, 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 something about bastions can take unique actions called orders. which are carried out by hirelings using the facilities within the bastion, such as maintaining a lifestyle for the characters and hirelings in the facilities, creating magical items, non-magical items, researching information, or trading exotic materials. Bastions can receive a number of orders. You can issue a number of orders to a bastion equal to its rank +1. So if you have a third rank bastion, you can issue 4 orders to the bastion each bastion turn. You might not have 4 facilities to order issues to, but it just depends on how you build your bastion. Each order requires a D20 test to determine how well the order is carried out. Issuing orders. There's 7 types of orders described below. When an order is issued to a bastion, make a bastion test. It's a D20 plus the rank of the bastion, plus the bastion die, plus bastion die, plus facility bastion die, period. The DC is determined by the difficulty of the order, as detailed below. Again, the 5 ranks of mastery, the 5 ranks of the 5 ranks of your facility of your bastion determines the difficulty 10, 15, 20, 25, 30 on a scale of 1 to 5, like the rarity of things or the value of things, or like the CR of monsters. These all have a 1 to 5 scale. Bastion points are spent to increase the rank of each order by improving facilities. Bastion points are spent to increase the rank of each facility to spent to increase the rank of the facility. Let's go ahead and get rid of that. The rank of the. This was original. The way that we were playing with it was that each order could be trained independently, but we're reconfiguring that to instead be bound to the facility, not just being a floating idea of you can craft stuff and like your bastion's good at crafting stuff. That was a really mechanically complicated process that has a lot of flexibility, but I think the difficulty and the complexity of the system is more than it needs to be. So instead, we're just simply binding it to the facility. You can't make something unless a facility allows you to make it on that list. And then the die roll that you're going to add to your bastion test is going to be determined by the rank of the facility that's making the item. That's a lot more simple and should create a lot less confusion. It's more binary than the previous system, but I think it's going to just make it easier to understand in general. Hey, what's going on? If you have a bastion, that means that you have to get back to it every now and again. You don't necessarily have to. As long as you can issue orders to it, then you're fine. Like if you have an observatory, that allows the facilities to scry once per day. So if you have a sending stone, you can have the receiving stone at your bastion so that you can give orders to your hirelings once per day. But if you have, like, say, an observatory setup that gives you a free use of scrying, that scrying can be used to literally blip into effect and speak face to face with whoever the owner of the bastion is to also issue orders. Your character can't benefit from downtime activities unless they go to the bastion, but you could theoretically have multiple bastions set up across different locations throughout the multiverse, and as long as you're able to issue orders to them each week, then they're going to be able to execute those orders. If they're making you stuff, obviously you got to get them somehow. So if you have a teleportation circle at your facility, they can get it to you, or if you have a planar gate, they can potentially get it to you. If you have a sanctum setup that you can use word of recall to get back to that particular facility, there you go, you can do that. So there's a number of, or you can physically walk to it, or you can send a messenger to bring something from the bastion to you. But typically, yeah, you need to be able to connect with your Bastion to do something. So it will, if left to its own devices without any other orders, it's just simply going to maintain a lifestyle for itself. Whatever lifestyle you've set for it, it's going to just basically run that place. So we're going to maintain a comfortable lifestyle for our hirelings and anyone that's within the Bastion until we receive other orders to do something otherwise. So, because the one thing that's constant is lifestyle. You always have to maintain at least a poor or better lifestyle. Otherwise, people, like, things are getting stolen. People are squatting in your garage. It becomes what is it? Squalid and then wretched. And like wretched is like you don't have a roof in your building anymore. There's goblins are using it as a lair. Like, you know, as long as you're maintaining at least a poor lifestyle, it's secured.
I thought you could only have one Bastion.
Well, in the DMG, you can only have one Bastion. Sure. Each character can have a Bastion in the DMG. Or you can combine all of your Bastions together into one facility. But technically, it's just different facilities controlled by different characters. But with this system, the Bastions exist separately from characters. NPCs can have Bastions. Any establishment, government, settlement, guild, army, or adventuring troop can be organized as a Bastion, and one Bastion can be the master and parent of multiple other Bastions. Like, if you want to form an army, you basically have to have a hub for logistics, which is going to be a Bastion that you set up as a control center, and then you recruit troops to form an army, which is itself a separate type of Bastion. So when you order issues to the army is going to execute those orders as though they were a Bastion performing a task. Meanwhile, at your base of operations, you're using your control of that army as the narrative. So if you were to, like, say, destroy the command center that's issuing orders to the army, then the army effectively is just idle. Unless you've got somebody in the army that can make decisions, in which case it becomes a separate Bastion unto itself. But, like, the city of Waterdeep can be framed as a settlement, as a Bastion. And the governing body, the Council of 12, the Council of Waterdeep, is effectively the government that is overseeing Waterdeep. And Waterdeep itself is a 5th ranked Bastion that has a settlement facility that allows other Bastions to exist inside of its zone of control, which is roughly 250 miles. So farmland can be used to harvest materials. I could either have a government-ran or like Waterdeep-owned Bastion, which could be like the port where ships are docking to trade goods, or like a city watchtower. Those are two instances of facilities that exist inside of the city of Waterdeep. But you could have like the constabulary set up as its own separate Bastion, as a separate entity that oversees policing Waterdeep in general. Furthermore, you could issue out parcels of land to independent contractors or characters to put their Bastion inside the city. So if I have a pub in the city of Waterdeep, the city of Waterdeep is technically its own Bastion, accumulating its own Bastion points to do things. But for my characters with their pub, I've got, like, say, a 2nd ranked pub in the city of Waterdeep, and because it's a 2nd ranked pub, I have to take 2 Bastion points and give them, basically permanently give Waterdeep 2 Bastion points as a tax for being in the city. And you could roleplay different agreements, like, I don't have to pay taxes to you for the next 3 years because of that thing I helped you guys out with. Okay, well, great, you don't have to worry about taking those 2 Bastion points. You can use those 2 Bastion points however you please. So, like, there's a lot of different ways that you can build and construct Bastion systems to be able to represent different power centers inside your campaign. Like Xanathar's Thieves Guild in Waterdeep is a separate Bastion that doesn't pay taxes to Waterdeep, and thus it is now an illegal organization that is hunted after for tax evasion, for instance. Not crimes against humanity because it's a beholder that runs it. No, tax evasion. That's what they're going after, because you owe them BP and Xanathar isn't willing to pay them. for instance. So yeah, there's a lot of different ways you can frame it. Like the church of a temple of Tyr can be its own bastion, where it's focusing on reliquaries, sacristies, sanctums, possibly training areas, and an armory, because it's Tyr, the god of war, right? But it's its own bastion that has basically rented out land inside of Waterdeep, and maybe because it's the Temple of Tyr, maybe they don't have to pay taxes, or maybe they pay double taxes because they're bringing divine influence. It just depends on how the DM wants to role play it, but you don't technically have to worry about any of it until somebody asks a question, and then if you wanted to, you can easily frame, like, what is the strength of this Thieves Guild that I'm fucking with? Well, your character's a 9th level. Let's make it a 3rd tier Thieves Guild. A 3rd tier Thieves Guild is effectively equal to a 3rd level character adventuring party. So whatever your characters would be able to accomplish as 9th level characters, chances are, if they have the right facilities set up and decked out, that Thieves Guild will be able to perform as well as your 9th level character as a thief could as well. So they become good rivals to you. That if you took them over, you would then be able to steal that bastion, take control of it. You now got a whole, a 3rd rank bastion has 11, anywhere from 21 to 30 bastion points that are invested in different facilities and different points that are spent on schemes or control of different organizations. So you could have a Thieves Guild that's got 30 points, but only 10 points of it are actually inside of the guild itself, and the other 20 points are used to control other businesses and other operations in different parts of Waterdeep or Cormyr in general, or there might be a branch in Am that you have some sort of connection with. It's just a matter of how do you decide to spend your points to represent different geopolitical centers of power that your character has control over, and that the DM can narrate anything, like that castle over there, like Keep in the Borderlands. The Keep on the Borderlands is a 2nd rank bastion, and it's got troops in it, and it's got an armory and barracks, and it's maybe it has a pub type location to be able to provide food and a mess hall. So you can organize basically any environment or dungeon or building or town using this bastion system. It's just a matter of how do you want to narrate it, which, if we're successful in building this document, we'll be able to explain suitably so that people will grok what it is that we're doing, and we'll provide examples of we'll make I think in one of the previous examples we had a rivalry between the Church of Selûne and the Church of Shar, which are sisters. One is of shadows and secrets, the other is of knowledge and magic, and they're rivals. So you could have a Temple of Shar set up as a bastion that hates the Temple of Selûne, and so they're in battle with each other, using their resources to sabotage and attack each other, either physically or on a spiritual level, using divine power to attack each other's faith by draining resources away from the church to disempower it from being able to provide blessings or miracles to their followers. And once your faith starts to fail and you can't provide the miracles that you're supposed to, your attendance starts to waver. So you lose those points of power, and you become a lesser church. You drop in rank until you're eventually destroyed because you have no bastion points left. So you can attack different organizations and settlements, and the bastion points that they have are not only it's like if you could maintain 20 spells on your wizard at the same time, you would have a shitload of spell slots that you would have spent powering up all those spells to mega buff your character. Bastions work kind of in the same way. The bastion points that you get are used to power different facilities, but when you take damage, your bastion points become disabled. So if I only had 10 bastion points and all my bastion points are tied up in different facilities, and I lose 3 of them, I'm going to have to potentially, they just took out our workshop. I can't do anything with my workshop until I repair it and heal my bastion points. So you can spend orders during your turn to repair your facilities, but if you're actively being attacked, as soon as you fix it, it gets torn down again. or it's an actively hostile area and you can't actually repair anything because your facilities have been so depleted that you can't keep hiring, you can't keep people on staff to be able to help you because it's a compromised area. That's an example of when your characters need to get involved to take out whoever it is that keeps screwing with your business. You got to eliminate them as a threat or find a solution or relocate. And so if you have to scrap that bastion, start over again, then you'll follow the rules of setting up a new bastion someplace else. But if you're just being sabotaged and tormented or sieged, then that becomes a conflict that your characters or troops that you hire for your bastion can resolve for your characters if they don't want to be directly involved. Which speaks to your question of, like, you know, what happens if you're not at your bastion and, like, say it's under attack? Well, if the bastion can't defend itself, it's going to get burned to the fucking ground. Because that's real, right? It's the DMG says nothing happens. Maybe you just lose access to a facility for a turn until it comes back online, but your bastion can't actually be destroyed. Well, the whole theme of this is to take those ideas a step further to actually build a campaign where decisions matter. And in that instance, like they say, like your facility goes offline. Well, we've translated that into, well, if a facility gets damaged, it goes offline. That means that you've lost bastion points. Now bastion points act as hit points. So you can damage a bastion's reputation through like character assassination as sabotage, or you can just plant a bomb in their workshop and blow it up. The effect is the same. If it's sabotage like character assassination, no one's willing to work for you because they don't like you. As opposed to dropping a bomb in their workshop, is like no one is willing to work there because the place it's blown up. It needs to get repaired. You can either repair the physical facility, or in the case of like character assassination, you need to repair the public's perspective of you, but the mechanics are technically the same. It's just a different type of narrative that ultimately your character needs to deal with. If it's just a character assassination thing, maybe there's a high-level bard that just hates you, that you've picked up an antipathy with. And so they're attacking your bastions because they know it's going to hurt you as characters. So now it's like, oh, that's Teague. Teague is just fucking with us. We need to get Teague off of our back so he stops sabotaging our facilities so we can get back to work. So that's a tangent. Cheers. But I do love rambling on about this stuff, don't I? So we're going to be so we need to update all these mechanics. Most of the old rules that we have for issuing, they're too complicated. We need to get rid of them and simplify everything. So that's one of the things that we're going through right now, is trying to simplify the system. So right now I'm going to look for anything that doesn't say basic orders. So here's a unique order. The auction house has unique orders. So let's grab the auction house. Let's open up a new document here and just grab the auction house with its unique orders. And what's next? We've got a crypt has variant orders. And Demiplane only has facility benefits, so you can't even issue orders to that one. Gaming Hall has unique orders. Basic, downtime. This one doesn't even have orders. These are basic orders. Basic orders. Here's library has unique orders. So the basic orders follow a particular format that, again, the orders are the same no matter what type of facility is carrying out those orders. Unique orders can only be performed by that facility. Like we're looking here at library, like research is a general order to find out information, and there's mechanics for how to research stuff down below. But the library specifically says you can issue a research order unique to this facility to study any specific topic that your library has books for. To determine if the library has relevant information, roll 1d6. If the result is equal to or less than the rank of this facility, relevant information is present. Otherwise, a research complication occurs. And so that complication means you don't have the knowledge that you need for this library, for like maybe the books got stolen. Why did someone steal my fucking books? Well, they don't want me to find out about this particular thing that I'm doing. Well, that sounds like an interesting, like a plot hook for a quest, right? What's going on with this information? Or it could just simply be we don't have enough facilities, those books just don't exist in our library. It's like, well, now we need to outsource and go find someplace that has this specific piece of information. The library is different because let's actually take a tangent here real quick and go down and see what the research order typically comprises. Crafting order, empower order, harvest order, maintain order, recruit order, research. For example, library, observatory, pub, spy network. When issuing the research order, make a bastion check. The result of the roll determines the number of questions you can ask about the topic. The DM answers truthfully. So if my bastion check results in less than 10, not only do I not get any useful information, but I just created a complication for myself that needs to be resolved. Like, I asked a question, and now I'm turning it into an ALIP. I shouldn't have asked about Beelzebub's true name, because that's how you get ALIPs. But if I roll a 10 to 14, I can have one question answered. And if I can roll a DC 30, I can have 5 questions answered. And I can have multiple research orders ongoing to gather more and more information about a particular subject. So specifically inside the research order, there's gathering information, which is your research facility spends 1 week making a bastion check to learn information about a current or historical creature, event, location, or object. At the end of this time, you gain the benefit of a commune or legend lore spell, gaining a number of questions to turn. Again, just this is the format. So if you're using a gather information check to basically check in on things about current or historical creatures, events, and locations. If the information being gathered is through directly observing the activities of a creature, if the result is less than its intelligence or wisdom score, whichever is higher, the subject becomes aware of your order. So if I issued an order to find out about a red dragon's lair, and I actually had to send scouts to that lair to find out that information, and that red dragon has an intelligence of 20, and my scouts rolled a 15, they're going to find out 2 pieces of information, which the DM will determine, but the dragon is now aware that there's scouts checking out its lair, so life may have just become really, really difficult. The subject becomes aware of your order. If the information gathered is through directly observing a location or object, creatures that have orders to protect the subject become aware of your gathering and respond based on their attitude towards the bastion. If they're neutral, then you get a complication. If they're hostile, the creature attempts to sabotage your own bastion. So like that dragon follows your scouts back to the bastion to report on what they found, and a dragon shows up a few hours later to burn your place down. You're now being attacked by a dragon and you're losing bastion points. Another thing is researching is to item creation plans. So your bastion discovers the plans to create a chosen magic item or valuable non-magical item. The rarity of the item determines the DC to discover the plans to create it. So if it's a common rarity, up to 100 gold value, common magic item, DC 10, it takes a week for you to be able to basically develop those plans. Higher rarity, like rare magic items or things that cost 4,000 gold, that takes an entire season. That duration feels too long. Let's make that a month. This is why we're going through this editing process. We're going to make that month, and we're going to make that a season. So a week, and then a month is 4 weeks, and then a season is 3 months or 12 weeks. So if I wanted to discover the plans to create a magical legendary magic item, I'm going to have to sustain that order for an entire season. So I'm tying up like one of my, like, say 5 orders that I can issue to my bastion. I'm going to lock one of those in as basically like maintaining concentration. I'm going to maintain concentration on that particular order for an entire season or 12 bastion turns. And during the course of that period of time, I roll the DC 30. And if I don't hit the DC 30, at some point during that season, I know there's going to be a complication. I could continue to re-roll every bastion turn 12 times to try to hit that DC 30 each time, potentially creating a new complication each time I fail. Or I could take 5 Bastion points and basically burn them or like permanently lock them in to maintain that order. So I've issued an order, that order is locked. I now spend 5 Bastion points to maintain that order for the entire season, and that then allows me that once I succeed that check, I can lock in that check so I don't have to roll again by using those Bastion points to basically reserve my result. So as long as I don't lose my Bastion points, I can continue with my research. But now that dragon's attacking my facilities, and they just burned down my scriptorum. So I just lost those 5 Bastion points that I was using to research that magic, like the Book of Vile Darkness or something. I just lost those Bastion points. I can no longer maintain that order. I need to fix my Bastion, and now I have to roll again to see if I can reestablish the research on the Book of Vile Darkness. And fuck, I didn't roll a 30, I just created a complication. So I'm going to have to resolve that complication, and then next week I can roll again. And as soon as I can finally hit that die, that DC 30 that I need, then I can spend my 5 points and lock that in. See how that works? So writing it out so it makes sense is not as easy as just kind of like vibing my way through it in a conversation with you guys.
But brother cannot be stopped. Hey, Adam.
Okay, so that's basically how so research can be done to either create magic, like to create magical item plans so that you can build magic items, right? And so you get the plans, and then you have to get the material, and then you use the plans and the material to make a magic item. So getting the plans can be its own adventure, or it can be research order that you issue to your Bastion. Getting the material that you need, like for the Book of Vile Darkness, you might need like the skin of a demon lord. So great, let's go kick off to the abyss and scrape the flesh off of a pit fiend real quick. Or maybe we can get some scales off of a Merilith's tail and bring that back to build our book. That alone could be a quest. Or being that like a Merilith is like a CR 14 creature, that's a 5th ranked task. I would have to roll a DC 30 for me somehow, somewhere to find the scales of a Merilith to build the Book of Vile Darkness with. So it's either a complication that's going to take a hell of a lot for me to find those scales, or it becomes a quest hook for my adventurers to go on, capture a Merilith and skin her, basically. That's the kind of stuff that you do for the Book of Vile Darkness. I've got my skin. I've got the formula that told me I needed that skin in the first place. Now that I have those two things, I can mash them together. The Book of Vile Darkness, legendary magic item. I have to roll a DC 30 on my Empower check. I failed. Okay, well, I just created a new complication with making the Book of Vile Darkness. Maybe I didn't kill that Merilith and she made an army, and now that army is attacking my Bastion, and now I can't do anything because I've got a demon army attacking my Bastion. I need to resolve that. That becomes my next complication to deal with. So it just creates this cascade of this chain of logical cause and effect based on the die roll that you do. If you can hit the die rolls that you need, things just move along accordingly and just keeps doing, and you just do normal adventures stuff like you normally would while this is going on. But as soon as a die roll fails, it's like, hold on, is this something that your characters are prioritizing now because it failed, and do you want to take care of this, or do you want to just issue additional orders for your Bastion to just go ahead and take care of it for you because you're busy? They already failed the die roll once, chances are they're going to fail the die roll again. So you're just kind of pressing your luck. What you're really doing is just kind of kicking the can down the road. So like, they'll either eventually figure it out, or we'll open up some space and we can take care of it ourselves. Meanwhile, how many weeks are you willing to wait to make this thing actually start to click into place? Because like, building the Book of Vile Darkness itself is going to take an entire season. If you have to keep kicking it down the road week after week after week because you can't get your team together, you're effectively never building the book until your characters get directly involved to solve the problem. So that's how the campaign, like the idea of a Bastion campaign, that's where the campaign portion comes in, where you're actively creating these plot hooks to generate actions for your characters to take if they're interested. And if you're issuing multiple orders and you're having multiple failures, then you have multiple plot hooks that your characters can potentially be going on to try to resolve stuff. They can only resolve one at a time. And generally, if you're running a campaign, you only deal one adventure per week because a Bastion turn is per week. So you take care of one thing yourself, and you either have the Bastion wait until you get to it, or you have them try on their own to fix it. And if they fail again, it creates more complications. So it can start snowballing on you to the point where we've got to get involved because this place is a hot mess. So like that's the idea. But if anyone that's, I say it casually, anyone that's ran a campaign from level 1 to 20 knows that there is this stacking deck of unresolved plot lines and side quests and spare grudges that are just laying around like this giant bush of trouble that your characters just kind of weeding their way through towards the end of the campaign. This actually organizes and structures that weeding process and gives you a means of pruning those problems so that your characters can stay focused on the things that they think are most important for their own personal goals. So that's the idea.
Hey, what's going on? This reminiscent of Monsters of the Week system of punishment on.
There you go. See, good ideas. It's just a matter of, I don't think I'm doing anything new. I think I'm just taking a lot of common sense and narrative and just basically putting it inside of an ability check system. And I'm just standardizing what those ability checks are so it's methodical and formulaic, so that once you grok how the system works, you can just make shit up on the fly. So that you just understand, like, this is how research works, this is how crafting works, this is how empowering works, this is how recruiting works, this is how maintaining works. Once you understand just the basic structure of how these things work, the DM can just make up stuff on the fly that's going to operate within the scale of 1 to 5 with the corresponding DCs, the value of the things that you're trying to do, and what complications look like if you fail the die roll. And then the time frames involved with the difficulty of the task that corresponds with it. It's all formulaic, but it's just the narrative that we're wrapping the dice around that makes it fun, right?
Also, you kind of have an
I think I think I've got a little pinch of volume there. There we go. That should take care of that. Let me know if that's a problem. Okay, so let's get back into looking at. We picked up the library, I think. Yeah. So let's see. We're looking for unique and variant orders right now to see how many of them there actually are, to see how much of a problem it really is. So copy here, paste, and then general orders there. General orders here, general orders here, general orders here, general orders, general orders, general orders, no orders, general orders, general orders, general orders. Technically they're called basic. They're called basic orders. The spy network has unique orders. Stables have generic orders or basic orders for the storehouse. Teleportation circle doesn't have any orders at all, just benefits. Training area has a general order. Basic order. Basic orders. Okay, so we have like what? Spy network, meditation chamber, library, gaming hall, crypt, and auction house. There's only 6 out of the 34 facilities that we have in this book. Only 6 of them have unique orders. So let's start peeling these apart and being discerning about what's going on here, because we may be able to simplify this to not have to necessarily distinguish between the two. If it's a basic order, it means it's going to follow the rules of orders that are defined down here. So we just walked through how research orders work, right? Of either creating magic, like the plans or the formula to create a magic item, or gathering information about a person, place, or thing, either historical or contemporary. So that covers a lot of information there. So, but that's just generally how research works. It uses this pattern. It's basically the higher die result you get, the more questions that you get to ask that the DM will answer honestly. It's single questions. Like for example, that scout we were talking about, checking out the red dragon's lair that drew its attention and burned down your bastion as a result of it. You got 2 questions. 1, Where is it located? That's a great question to ask. That might be your first question. And now you got one more question because I rolled 15. My second question is, were there any, what defenses did you see? And so you can say, like, you know for a fact that when you go through the front door, there's a pressure system made out of loose earth that the scouts tripped. Actually, that's how the dragon found out about them being there in the first place. But there's an alarm system that prevents anyone from being able to go into the lair without the dragon noticing it. And apparently, it's a really high DC to find it because we didn't. We didn't find out about it until it got sprung. And then that's what caused the complication that caused the dragon to find out about it. So we had the intelligence of the dragon is a 20, which is above the 15 that we rolled. So even though we got 2 pieces of information, as it says down here, the dragon now knows that we're looking at them. And since the dragon is hostile, it's now going to attempt to burn down our bastion. So it follows it follows your scouts back to the bastion, or it goes through its own research to find your bastion. Who are these guys? I'm going to kill you now. That's what the dragon can do using its own resources, if you wanted to frame it that way. But that's the narrative that we're wrapping around the complications. So we know there's a complication, and we know you get 2 questions. It just turns out that the questions that you asked help feed the complications. Like, yeah, there's traps. You asked about traps. Well, the bandits found one, and now your castle's being burned down. So how's that working out for you? That's the idea, right? So that's how research works in general. So let's go back and look at, let's clean this up real quick. Get rid of the basic facilities, get rid of downtime activities. Let's just keep the orders. So I'm just trimming away the stuff that we don't need for this conversation. Orders. Auction House has a lot of unique orders. Gaming Hall. Unique orders here for the library. Unique orders here for the meditation chamber. And unique orders for the spy network. So research, trade, tap. Okay, so let's look at what these research orders are real quick. How are we doing on time over here, by the way? We're gonna have to, we got about 20 minutes left at lunch today. But good news is we're gonna be back Thursday night for another 3-hour session. We'll probably be able to resolve orders by the end of Thursday night, I suspect. But we also have a Friday lunch. So we do Mondays and Thursday nights, Tuesday and Friday lunches. Those are the 4 days that I do game design on stream. And then Monday through Friday in the morning, I do artwork for the books that we publish. So, let's see, that up. That up. Okay, so let's go look at those unique orders real quick. So the spy network, unique order, research. You can issue a research order that's unique to this facility to gather information about people, places, and things, local or abroad, searching for sabotage or information about potential rival targets as detailed in the issuing unique orders section below. So basically this uses research to find out information about not necessarily a specific topic, but about things that are threatening to your organization. So that's useful if you're being attacked and you don't know who it's coming from. Spy Network's good at that. Spy Network's good at being able to recognize threats before they happen. After you get attacked, you could issue a research order to find out more about who attacked you. But they already attacked you, and your research facility may have been burned down. So, good luck with that. Spy Network is preemptive. So I can see that being framed as a unique order. But, I think keeping it framed as a unique order there is fair. What about the meditation chamber? That's your recruiting. We'll skip that. Library. Research. You can issue a research order unique to this facility to study a specific topic that your library has books for. To determine if the library has relevant, and you know what, this honestly, that just sounds like a normal basic order with unnecessary complications, with unnecessary wording. And that's just how researching stuff works. I don't think I need to have a specific order about that. So let's go back to the library. Yeah, no, these aren't unique orders. They're just orders, but Okay, so now we have the question of, let me go in here because the system's been designed, but it's not designed well. We're going through here to clean it up, simplify, and make it more versatile and easier to understand. So the way that's currently set up, it's pretty clumsy. So what I want to do here is let's look at research, and we're looking at people, place, things. Historic or contemporary. I guess the question is, do we need to specify for every facility what can specifically be researched? So I guess that means the next thing we want to go through is list of facilities that can research. And we'll put an asterisk next to library, and we'll put an asterisk next to spy, network, because those are listed as having unique abilities. So let's find out how unique they really are, right? That's the process that we're going through right now. So starting off with work, we're just going to basically work for anywhere that we can see research in bold. I think it makes sense that there's a spy network. I think it makes sense that we would be able to specify. Because we have to specify for every single. There's the pub. Because we have to specify for all the crafting, like crafting orders for the pub. You can issue a basic craft order to create non-magical items according to the list of all things that we have in the appendix of here. It's like if you want to make, like, a pub is basically good for making food and drink. Food, rations, ales, wines, and spirits. That's basically what the pub can do. That's all the pub can do as far as crafting stuff. And it makes sense. You make sandwiches at the pub, right? It just kind of makes sense that you can do that. It's intuitive. But you could also research, because the pub, as it says here, is you can issue a research order unique to this facility. Ooh, that's a unique research. I didn't have that listed among the unique orders. I think that kind of proves my point. So this says you can issue a research order unique to this facility to observe conversations and overhear rumors about recent events, local items, locations, or NPCs as detailed in the issuing orders section below. So this is about what's going on currently that you can find out about, as opposed to a library or an archive where you'd be able to find out about things that happened in the past that aren't contemporary. That makes sense. So yeah, I think what we're ultimately going to do is spell out what can be researched in each location. Observatory. An observatory can research. You can issue a research order unique to this facility to observe constellations and the interaction between the gods or otherworldly patrons to discover information regarding another plane of existence or its denizens, as detailed in the orders section below that we already spelled out. So yeah, it looks like we already have it framed that way. Let's see, where else is another research order? Here we go. Library, we already have that listed, and we have it listed as a unique order, but it's not really. It's just defining how you use research, just like the laboratory defines how you can use crafting inside of its own information. This all makes sense. All I have to do is provide the structure down below for how the order operates, and then inside the facility we define how you use those mechanics, what kind of information you can discover through research. That makes a ton of sense to me. That is a better way of doing this. Looking for any remnants. Anything else? Anything? Nope, that's it. So there's only 5 facilities that offer the research. Interesting. Oh wait, here we go. Archive. This says basic research orders. Oh no, this is when issuing a research order, you can roll an additional die. That's right, it's a benefit. So like if I have a library and I have an archive, I would roll 2 dice. So I'd roll a d20 plus the rank of the Bastion, and then if I have both an archive and a library, I'll roll 2 six-sided dice, or like a d8 and a d6, or 2 10-sided dice. It just depends on what the rank of each facility is. But I'll roll 2 dice, and whichever one of those die has the higher result, I'll add that die to the rank of the Bastion to the d20 roll. And if my character is involved in overseeing that as a downtime activity, I'll make an intelligence check, and then I'll add the best Bastion die result to my character's ability check to actually get the result, because my character invested personal time that week in the Bastion researching this specifically, which is great if like you have a character that like wants to go to the training area and pick up a new feat, or like if you're a wizard needs to go to the archives and research, or the arcane study to get access to a new spell in their spell book, or if the sorcerer wants to swap out a spell that's not working right, they're going to need downtime to swap that stuff around themselves. And that means that your character's just kind of twiddling their thumbs. Why don't I help out with research? Or why don't I help out with crafting? Or why don't we get that magic item up and running? Let's make sure we have the materials that we need. Like, there's always things that you can do. So if you're in the, if somebody wants to be in the Bastion, it can be useful for everybody to be able to take actions themselves. And then you just kind of fast forward through that week of activity in the world updates. There's this brightness coming off because I'm near a window, and there's a lot of sunlight causing glare, so I've got this weird sheen coming off of my face right now. But okay, so we now know that when we actually have orders provide a general frame for how each order is resolved, and each facility indicates how they use that specific order. We now have a process of operations for us to be able to move forward with. So what we'll now need to prioritize is locking down the mechanics for how each of the 7 orders work. And then we'll go back to the facilities, and it's like, I see you have the trade order. What is it that you can specifically trade? Does that work with how the trade protocols operate? And if the answer is yes, that's good to go. Let's move on. If not, then we need to clarify either what that facility can specifically do, because that's out of sync, or the order itself is lacking some sort of mechanical details necessary for us to be able to execute that order properly. So we're going to start with the orders, make sure all the language, all the mechanics for the orders work properly. And then we're going to go backtrack, and we're going to make sure that all the facilities that can be issued orders are compliant with that language. And I'm out of time. That's my lunch. That was my little ping that went off that said my lunch is over. So again, I have it's a 1-hour lunch on Tuesdays and Fridays. We do some game design here, touch base, let you guys know what's going on. And then on Mondays and Thursday nights, we have a longer session. Like we ran 4 hours last night. Basically building out all the downtime activities. So the next session that we have is going to be Thursday night. We'll probably start up like around 6 o'clock Seattle time, minus 8 UTC, and we'll probably go for 3 hours. We'll knock down as much as we can, and then whatever we don't finish on Thursday, we'll come back around Monday night, take another 3, maybe 4 hours if necessary to knock down the rest of it. And then we'll be done with orders, and then we can start moving into franchises, armies, and settlements. to lock down that language and be able to talk about warfare and sabotage and damaging and repairing bastion points and blah blah blah. So we're slowly working our way through the document, and so far this process of smoothing it out and making it more easy to use seems to be successful. It's a lot less language. We're simplifying all the mechanics. We're standardizing everything and setting up where we can and can't, like where we can have variables which are inside the facility. So this was really productive today for us. What's my schedule? So for the rest of the week, in the mornings, around 6:30 Seattle time, -8 UTC, I start doing artwork. We're currently doing a painting of the city of Sharn in Eberron. That's fun. Love doing that. So that's what we're working on in the mornings, and then we don't have a design stream on Wednesday, so instead on Thursday night we'll come back, we'll continue working on this. Friday lunch we'll work on this. Monday through Fridays in the morning we're doing book art. There you go. If you think this stuff is cool, I'll go ahead and wrap up and say, like, subscribe, hit the bell icon for notifications when we're live in the future. Here's the playtest document that I'm using right now that we've been writing in. It's going to be read-only for you. Because of DMsGuild, I can't just give you this stuff. But I can show you the rough draft of stuff, of the process that we're going through. Once we actually get the book back from our editor, we can see what the actual language is. I will not be posting that final language here. At that point, I'll be doing artwork, and instead you'll be seeing screenshots in Photoshop of the actual final text and its layout and positioning as we start doing artwork to fill in the gaps between the text on the pages. So, but for the time being, this is the playtest document. This is my Discord server where we do playtesting. So if you've seen different ideas that I've been working on here over the past years, a lot of those books have been published already, but the ones that are still in progress, we do playtesting. For those on my Discord, you are most welcome to come along and pick it up and run it with your own game, or if there's a seat open, participate in any of the games that I'm running or other people are running on my Discord. Here's a bunch of books I've already finished that are on the DMsGuild. They're all 100% free preview. You can read them all cover to cover. All the artwork in them are mine. All the ideas are mine. They're all play tested by me, my teams, and other DMs that have picked them up and gave me feedback. So yeah, check this stuff out, and I'll be back tomorrow morning. Thanks a lot, guys.